Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do a quick introduction and review on ambient lighting and how to lay it out, what to use, and how to design it and what it is. Not a lot of people really know what ambient lighting is. Ambient lighting is the voluminous light that fills the space. So what we're trying to do is fill this room with light, and that's ambient. And right now it's stained light right now, so there's a lot of daylight coming in through the windows. But if you were to look at the space and the sun goes down, we're going to need some electric light in there, um, something to help light it up so you can see. And why we call the voluminous light in the space ambient is because that's just one of the many layers of lighting that there can be. This is a quick, good example or guide. Here's a PowerPoint presentation we have on YouTube on our channel if you guys want to check it out. I go through everything, but just to give you a quick breakdown of the layers, there's the most common layers is ambient lighting, accent lighting, and task lighting. Ambient lighting is that light that's filling that space, and you change the way we talk about it, change the way we describe it. It's the aesthetics, it's the glow. Accent lighting is another layer, and we can talk about that in a separate video. And that's creating a feeling. Maybe in commercial spaces, it's branding. Task lighting is for performance. Maybe you have in a home, you have a reading nook, your kitchen countertop. Um, Quality control in commercial spaces. So that's like you want high amounts of light in a space where you want to um, observe the product and look at it and see if it looks good enough to put out to market. Maybe it's a basketball court, even at a school. That's task focused area where you're trying to perform a specific task and you want it to lit to a certain amount of foot candles. And each space, depending on what it's being used for, is different. Um, but a couple other layers that people don't talk about is lighting controls. That's the layer that you want to be able to adjust everything and have it um, change automatically so you don't have to mess with it. That helps save in energy, cost savings, and adjustability because just like the sun changes throughout the day, we want our electrical lighting to change too. And then you put all four of those together, you get lighting biology, health and wellness. You can make it all work together like a system. So that way everything looks and feels good and aligns with your body's biology. So you're not having super bright lights at night when it's bedtime. So they automatically kick off, or maybe they dim to warm, or maybe they change their color temperature from a bright white to a warm white. There's a lot of that we can get into, but right now in this brief video, we're going to talk about ambient lighting and how to achieve that. Uh, the most easiest way people uh, fill the space with ambient lighting is downlights. And downlights are items like this. There's a lot to choose from here. There's canvas solutions, there's retrofits, there's smart home solutions, there's fire rated downlights. You want those for apartment, state, commercial, or multifamily applications where there's a firewall that's required. Recessed downlights, most downlights require a housing, and then there's an LED bulb and trim, or all-in-one LED trim kit that goes up in there. Um, and then sometimes that's what the canvas means. It says they've come out with these downlights now that don't require a housing. They're actually IC rated, and that's something we're going to go over too briefly when we're picking out our product. If we want to know if it's going to the ceiling that's IC rated or non-IC rated, that has insulation or doesn't, because then we need to make sure we're picking out the right downlight that has that rating. Um, and that usually limits the amount of lumens that it can put out because that downlight will heat up. So it's important to find something that's right for your application and call out the product number. And each one of these should have a specification sheet that we can go over. Um, since I'm here, there's Juno, there's Nora, there's WAC, there's Halo Lighting. There's a lot of different manufacturers. There's hundreds of manufacturers out there for downlights you can choose from, but these are some of the most affordable and cost-effective solutions to use. Let's see here. So if I'm looking at this space and I want to lay it out, a typical way to lay out a space we show up on our drawings is this is a top-down view of, say, a room, and say it's laid out uh, there's 6 can lights, 3 by 2. Usually the higher quantity goes in the longer side of the room because this one's longer, and then the shorter side. So we're making it even. And then how to lay them out. If you're doing a typical lighting layout, this isn't really designed. Sometimes design, you push it off to the side, do some accenting. But for filling space with a lot of ambient light, this is the best way to do it, is you take the room's length, say if it's 12 feet long, you divide it by the number of fixtures, which is 3. So you space your can lights every 4 feet. And then the last can light to the wall would be 2 feet, half the distance, because this light right here is being met by this other light. So it's only needs to travel 2 feet, 2 feet, and then it fills the gap there. This one to the wall side doesn't have another light on the other side, so it's only throwing half the amount. That's why you go half the distance to the wall. And then you repeat the process on your column when you're going, okay, so it's 10 feet divided by 2 lights, and then you get spaced about 5 foot. Okay, and then they're 2.5 feet from the wall. And you would use uh, that layout if you're doing a gym, if you're doing a warehouse even, or other typical rooms as well. Um, let's see here. Right now, for purposes, we're just going to give you guys an idea, we're just going to add in some lights like this. And let me dim down the ambience. Yeah, but okay. Remember Dave said he was doing a show, uh, uh, or recording a video, and you need to wait. Let's just wait till Dave's done talking, okay? Okay, so we're back. So, um, let's see here. How much time do we have left? I'm trying to keep this under 10 minutes. So there's one downlight right there, and then we're gonna copy and paste it, and we're going to move it over side by side. We're kind of guessing here, and then copy those two, paste them, and move them over, and then we're gonna copy and paste, and then we're gonna space those out, kind of like our that example that I was showing. Whoops, what happened to it? Oh, there it is. Get a different angle on this. We're just gonna put those right up over there. And that'll be our ambient light. And what I meant by adjustable color temperature um, is right now it's at 4,500K. You can make these be wider. Some lights, they cost more money, but they can actually adjust all the way up to 10,000K. So it's really white light, makes you feel more active, awake, and alert. Or they can go down all the way to 1,800 Kelvin, makes it feel warm and cozy and nice. We're gonna leave it at probably like 3,500. Excuse me. And warmer white light accents the wood, the browns, and the whiter light helps accent the blues and the grays. Um, so if you're just going with a single, it's called a static white, a single 3,000K or 4,000K. It's important to know your finishes too, and that's also important for the amount of light because darker finishes are going to absorb the light. So it's going to actually make it take the amount of lumens that you're putting in there and make it so it's not as powerful because a lot of the light's getting absorbed by the material finish. So that's the other way we can add ambient light into the space is by reflecting or bounce light, because instead of just the direct down lights laid out that way in the ceiling, is maybe we can layer in the lights with accent and task and help, because when that's why you see this light on the wood is because light waves hit the object and then they bounce back into the space, they bounce back into our eyes, and part of those light waves get absorbed and part of those light waves come back to us. And that's what helps dictate what color we see. It's the light waves that bounce back into our eyes. But you can actually use that technique. You can fill the space with light by bouncing light off the walls. And it's another way to help eliminate glare instead of just having a big one of these surface mount downlights. So that's what a lot of these canless ones like this that don't have the optics, those are glare bombs, and they don't really, you only get light within the first 3 to 4 feet that leaves that. It doesn't get light down to the ground, to the work plane where you're trying to work at. It's more of a Just it's very inexpensive and people buy it, but unfortunately they go in these like $4 million homes and they have a 14-foot ceiling and they put those in and they wonder why their room's not lit. That's why, because you want something like this that has a more punch or has a narrow beam that's pushing the light down to the ground. That's the way you want to do it. So when you're specifying, you we'll go over it, but you look at the spec sheets, look for something with higher lumens, and look at what you're picking out. Even that with the light regressed a little bit up into the trim will help eliminate glare and have a little bit more focused and control. Because when you're mounting it in a low ceiling, that's when you experience the glares, when the light is in your peripherals. Um, but back to the bounce light, we can add in some ambient light in the space, like maybe in those coves over there. Uh, put in some tape light and, or maybe it's just a strip. And so that way it looks like the coves are, we'll do 3,500, kind of glowing. And we'll turn on the shadows here. There we go. That way there's the lumens back there. And then nowadays you can do so many things with tape light. You could even do like a channel. You would put a channel in the wall and have it be scooped and you mount it low enough so it would be washing your ceiling. So we'll take this and we'll flip it around 180 degrees. And then all of a sudden you're getting indirect light and this light is bouncing off the ceiling and filling the space with light. So you can still have the downlights if you want more light, which I suggest that you do, but then you can add in the accent and the task lighting to help fill the space with voluminous light. And then that's where you have the controls, because then you can, if it's wired correctly, that's what part of what would be done next after this, after you pick out all your product, is also drop a wiring diagram, which lights you want to come on at the same time, which ones on certain zones. And uh, that way, whoops, not 35,000 K. How about 3,500? See, with this, you're accenting the wood on the ceiling, and you're also, yeah, making the space feel pretty cool. You're adding a very different vibe to it. And then we could almost do the same thing on the other side over here to make it even out. And then all of a sudden, you eliminate that cave effect, and you're showing off your wood. And then another layer with the bounce light maybe would be some, I'm not going to pick out of the wall sconce, but you'd come here and put a decorative wall sconce. Well, here, we'll just do it real quick. We'll do a little, we'll build one fast with the sphere. We'll put a sphere and we'll shrink that sucker down and we'll make it glass. So it's like a little glass wall sconce there. And then let's see, we'll take this light and make it warmer and put it down to about a lower lumen output. So that way, that becomes that's your task light, because it's your reading light by the bedside. You know, and you can pick out whatever wall sconce you want. That's just a quick showing you guys putting the glass there. But um, realistically, there's tons and tons of wall sconces to pick and things to choose that have you'd add that to your decorative element that you want to showcase for your house. But by adding in those layers, that helps add to the ambient light within the space. And then when you go to pick out your product, you go to pick out your downlights. Let's see here. Let's go to Juno. They're like, you know what? I don't really want to deal with the housings. Let's look at the canless solutions. This is nice because this is adjustable. You can aim that to if you mounted it closer to the wall, maybe anything 2 feet to 4 feet and aim towards the wall, you could use as a wall wash and space it out evenly so it's washing the wall. Anything you mount like 12 inches or less would be considered a graze, and you could shoot it down the wall to help accent your texture. Um, as we go through here and pick it out, I would suggest looking for something where the lens is regressed up inside the housing. Something like that. That would be great. That's adjustable. That's nice. So let's say you can pick, let's see, WAC price shows it good too here. There's trimless, so that all those little dots, you would install that housing first and then mud in up to it. And then just put this little trim in so that way all you see is the hole in the ceiling. Or there's trims, you cut in the housing behind it and then put this trim over it. This is a wall wash. That's why the lens is angled. This is an adjustable downlight. There's round, there's square, there's different colors of trims. Sometimes there's just white and paintable white. And then when you find the light that you want, you gotta come down to the manufacturer's website and click spec sheets and look at their spec sheet, and it'll tell you everything about it. It'll tell you the lumens, so 600 and 1,000 lumens. There's the housing. We want that because that's what you need for insulation. And this one's Energy Star compliant. This one's also Title 24 for California. Let's see down here. We'll look at it. It tells you the optics it comes with. That's perfect. That's what you want. So that way you can do 18 degrees. It's going to be narrower. It's going to have a higher center candle beam. It's going to push more light. And as it travels, that beam is going to spread. So higher ceiling would be perfect for that. Or if you want to have a lower ceiling and want to focus it on a certain spot. 24 is a narrow flood. 40-degree is a wider flood. So that's important when I was going over that first spacing. If you pick different optics and you space them all the same, it's going to have a very different effect. That's why you choose your spacing based off of the spacing criteria given, because you want the light. If you want uniform lighting, you want them to wash over each other, the beams from the light. If you want, you know, it to have intentional contrasting, you would space it out further with a narrower type beam, if that was your desire. Let's see, labels, UL, it's also wet listed if we need it. Let's see, I'm sure somewhere. Yep, IC rated for insulated or non-insulation applications. So this would be good for insulation. And all downlights with housings aren't IC rated. I want to make you guys aware of that too. Just because it has a housing doesn't mean it's rated for insulation. You got to look on the spec sheet and read it. So then if you're building your fixture cut part number, the nomenclature, they have a guide here usually. Usually they have examples, but over here is the data and the info on the 600 lumen. Here's the one on the 1,000 lumen. Here's the input power in watts. You can see they're a lot less than typical incandescent and LED. That's what's really nice. It's very energy efficient. And as you pick it out, you want to, if you're building a lighting plan or if you're just doing this for yourself, you're installing electrical contractors going to want to know this because they need to know the wattage and how much they can load on one dimmer, a switch, maybe their panel. They're trying to calculate all that out. So here we would, when we're building this, we pick the series part number, 2CP-NC, and you write it down or put it on your schedule. And you keep going, G2, SQ, whether you want 600 lumens or 1,000, you'd put 10 LM, then your color temperature, 30K, then your CRI, your color rendering index. That's pretty old school text, but you can do 80 CRI, 90 CRI is typically better. But I usually do 80 if it's not important, not like a retail space or something where you really want to see the color pop. 80 is still really good. And then here's your distribution, flood, FL, narrow flood, NFL, spot, SP, and you keep going and build your part number, the finish you want, the type of dimming, that's important as well. And you build out your part number, and then that's what you get quoted and priced, and then that's what they get called out on the schedule and figured out how to make it all work and how to put it together. And then down the road, they'll do controls as well. And then after you pick this out, you lay out your lights, then you would build it out. And typically you would have, oh, I'm not showing it on this one, but like, say if you had the lights, let's see here, interior lighting, say you just had 6 of these downlights here, and then maybe like a decorative chandelier here, and another one right here. And this I'm just going super fast, but normally we would scale all this and make sure it's the right scale and pick it out. But then after you pick them all out, you want to show which ones are switching together off and on. So then with that, you can do a wiring diagram. It's usually done on a separate page. But right now for here, we can do it. We'll just do it right here. So we can show you real quick. Whoops. Let me get the right tool here. 2-point arc. We'll do that. Whoops. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen, as I get this. There we go. And then we do that and that. You can tell I was using my line for something else. There we go. Usually this is just part of the process of laying it out. You would do this to show these fixtures are all intended to be connected on the same switch, and then you would connect it to wherever you want the switch. Show it. Usually that's shown with the S symbol or whatever your control symbol are. And then you connect this to its own wire and put it over here. Maybe there's a switch on the wall. Then say, we have a chandelier here, step lights. You go through and do all the same thing and pick all that out. Um, and you can do the general downlighting, which sometimes you need that too, and indirect lighting, layer in the space to fill the space with ambient light. And that's how it's done. Let us know what you guys think, if that was helpful or not, and thank you very much.